It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is brand new Queensryche with a song called Cold. And on the phone right now, the legend himself, the one and only Geoff Tate of Queensryche. Jeff, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Chris. I'm enjoying the Seattle sun, which is rare.
Sure. Now you're actually home, right, Jeff? You just finished the Operation Mindcrime tour?
We did. We just finished that leg of the tour, and our last show was in Seattle. So after the show, I drove to my house, which was great.
Sure. Now, Jeff, certainly a million things going on in the camp, all kinds of. It's been a year of talk about dedicated to chaos. It's been a year of chaos for you, with the two Queensryches and whatnot. But throughout everything, you were able to put out an album, Frequency Unknown, and it basically continues the vision kind of that you've been on for a long time, as far as not necessarily following any pattern. It sort of takes its own direction. For you personally, how has the last year been, and how big of an adjustment has it actually been for you, considering that basically your whole world turned over?
Yeah, it was a pretty tumultuous time, especially the last spring, I guess it was. Pretty emotional time, actually, and but I kind of transitioned into deciding at some point that the current situation was irreparable, so it was best to finish it and move on. And so I'm in a really good place now. I feel very good and free. I feel happy and very creative. Finished the album, put it out, been touring, and started working on a new album now. So I'm feeling great. I feel strong, happy, healthy, and very excited.
Sure. Now, Jeff, with the current lineup, then certainly there's no secret. There's two bands that are considered Queensryche at least until November. With your lineup of Queensryche, you've really compiled an all-star lineup of players, and there's been several changes along the way. For you, when you were putting this together, what was your criteria for putting the lineup together? And are you confident now that maybe you've got a stable lineup for the foreseeable future?
Oh, I don't want a stable lineup.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to work with as many great people as I possibly can, And I think my only criteria is finding people that are, one, incredible players, and two, happy to be there. Creative, happy people who are enthusiastic about playing music. I spent way too many years playing with people that weren't happy to be there. Who well, I won't get into it, but I'm just very happy to be part of a group of people that has enthusiasm, that has creative ideas.
Sure. Now, when you say that, are you talking specifically about the creative process of Queensryche, or are you also talking about having different lineups, in the live setting as well?
Oh, both. Yeah. I want to work with different writers, different creative people, different players. There's a lot of incredible players out there, and people that I really admire and that I like to work with in some capacity,
Sure.
And at this point in my life, that's very important for me. I did the locked into the band thing for many years, and I've experienced that, and I'm ready for new experiences now.
Sure. Now on this last live track that you did, you did Operation Mindcrime for the 25th anniversary of the album, and certainly it is the hallmark record, I guess, of yours and the band Queensryche's career. It's where everybody starts, I think, at this point in the world. You did this tour this time with Robert Sarzo and Kelly Gray, playing the guitars. What was it that they brought to the table for the live setting that Michael Wilton and Parker did not bring, on the dedicated tour, as an example, or in the past several tours?
Did you see the tour? Did you come?
I did not get to see the tour, but I heard it was fantastic. That's been the reviews that we got from our fans that saw it at various stops, is that the tour was very, very good.
Yeah, it is good. It's, phenomenal players playing with passion and excitement and physicality. It's not a bunch of people just standing there playing their instruments. It's people really, really playing.
Sure.
Really moving around the stage. It's a very energetic group of people on this tour of very proficient players that can play anything for as long as it takes, and they just give it all at every show. It's nothing, no holding back,
Sure.
And that's what Mindcrime deserves, really. It's that kind of record that, you have to approach it and just be willing to lay your soul on the table every night.
Sure.
And that's what this band has. It's amazing. I walk off that stage every night just a mess, just a sweaty mess, and everybody is the same way. They just give it all.
Sure.
And for me, it's incredibly exciting because it's really being played live for the first time. There's no machines controlling stuff. There's no click track keeping the tempo, and there's no flown in, stuff going on. It's all live performance. And so it has a band feel, it has a human feel for the first time.
Sure.
And for me, that's incredibly exciting because my experience in the past has always been this sort of mechanized Queensryche.
Sure.
And this is really fantastic because it allows for so much improvisation. Like, I can hold up my hand, the band stops on a dime. I say something to the audience, we pick right back up. We extend guitar solos. We have drum solos for the first time. Brian Tishy's been playing with us this last month, and he's an amazing drummer.
Sure.
Just incredible powerhouse drummer, and he does this incredible drum solo in 3 parts. And I've always dreamed of a drummer that actually could play a solo, so this is incredible for me too. So, I'm excited and happy. It's an incredible experience.
Sure. Now I'm going to assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to make an assumption that the guys that are in the band right now, that were in the band for the last trek, are huge Queensryche fans from the past. I mean, just regular fans. Forget the playing part of it. But does the energy that these guys bring as fans to the band, does that give you more energy to bring it even harder than you've been in the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, it's we all feed off each other, and so when you have all these guys that are excited to be there and happy to be there and passionate about the music, it's contagious. I pick up on it, and it makes me play better and play with more enthusiasm. And my enthusiasm feeds the next guy, and down the line, it just explodes. And yeah, that's a big plus. Everybody that's been on the leg with us has been, fans of the music, and had Operation Mindcrime, for example, in their record collection.
Sure.
And came into it, incredibly excited about the opportunity, to play that album.
Cool. Well, Geoff, let's talk about Frequency Unknown a little bit. As has been the case for the last few albums, it's a different record for you. It's in some regards, it's a return to heaviness that you haven't seen in a while. In other regards, there's some elements that almost sort of carried over from Dedicated to Chaos. In your mind, do you see Frequency Unknown as a fair representation of what your vision of Queensryche is today?
Well, my vision of Queensryche from the beginning has always been one of change and progression and trying new things. And, I never wanted the band to have what some people call a signature sound.
Okay.
In fact, when Chris was in the band, Chris DeGarmo, our philosophy was no limits.
Sure.
We didn't want to be limited by other people's perceptions of us at all. We wanted to explore our creativity and our art, based upon our own imaginations and where we could take things. And I think if you listen to each record, you'll see that. You'll see a band always experimenting. Always trying new things, bringing in different influences into the rock format. And really making huge strides in that, which to me is very cool.
Sure.
So that's always been the Queensryche philosophy, and this album is no exception to that. It's another what we always called experiments, where you have a concept which is let's work with all kinds of great players and let's have them interpret the music in the way that they would. Let's bring Paul Bostaph in and have him play. Who's known for like doing speed metal.
Sure.
Let's have him play a ballad and see what it happens to him.
Sure.
What that creates. Let Brad Gillis just unleash for 1:30 on a solo. Let him go.
Right.
Let him fly. That kind of thing. And it was really a fun record to make with all these great players and getting again having the kind of enthusiasm that they brought into it is very contagious.
Definitely. Now, Geoff, this album came fairly quickly on the heels of your solo record, Kings and Thieves, and let's face it, Kings and Thieves had a lineup that wasn't the quote-unquote core Queensryche lineup. This record did not have what is known as the core Queensryche lineup either. So what is it about this record, and specifically these songs, because I certainly understand that there's the whole court thing, but, what was it about these songs that, in your mind, made you think, okay, well, this is Queensryche stuff, and this is Geoff Tate's solo material?
Well, honestly, getting back to the no limits philosophy, I always thought Queensryche followed that philosophy. And, with the breakup, it became very evident that the other guys really weren't, in that same headspace. They wanted to kind of follow in everybody else's footsteps and do what would be typical. They didn't want to reach out and stretch out and try to new things, and which came as a big, punch to the side of the head for me, because
Sure.
I always thought we were all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So it got me thinking about what the differences are, because I never really saw a difference. I always thought music was there for experimentation. It was there to be the vehicle for what was interesting to me, what I was interested in, what I felt strongly about, my passions, my fears, my hopes, my dreams.
Sure.
So it became evident to me that maybe there is a difference. Maybe Queensryche fans they can't accept certain things. Maybe they're locked in a box and they want to only hear what they're used to hearing and what they describe as Queensryche.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that the only difference is the guitar.
Okay.
Let the guitar do the rhythm. Let it drive the song. Don't let the bass and drums drive the song, because that doesn't seem to be what most people call metal.
Sure.
So I made the differentiation at that point. I said, okay, well, with my solo stuff, I'm free to do whatever it is I want, whatever it is I dream, whatever it is I imagine.
Okay.
And with Queensryche stuff, I have to kind of operate with some parameters, And so Frequency Unknown kind of fell into that. I picked people that to play on the record who are known players, people that are successful in what they do,
mm-hmm.
and they didn't deviate too much from what they do. Really.
Right. Sure.
So it was a conscious effort to sort of put groups of people together that I knew more or less what the outcome was going to be.
Definitely.
I didn't know exactly what the outcome was going to be, but I knew it was going to land within the safe parameters.
So
if that makes sense.
So it does. Is it fair to say then, though, that maybe the last 2 or 3 records that were maybe not truly fitting your vision of what Queensryche is because the other guys just weren't on the same page as you?
Well, I don't know what 2 or 3 records you're talking about. American Soldier, for example?
American Soldier, Chaos. I mean, maybe some of Tribe. Anything.
Well, Tribe's
Tribe's
Tribe
97
came
or
out in
whatever.
2002.
Or yeah. You know, I'm
So
just...
our last 3 records with Queensryche was, let's see, Operation Mindcrime 2, pretty heavy record.
Right.
American Soldier, pretty damn heavy record. Dedicated Chaos was patterned after the Empire record. You know, it was a collection of individual songs, more oriented towards maybe radio play, that kind of thing.
Sure.
You know, more of a single kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is what our record company wanted at the time. And they said, "Can you make an Empire record?" So yeah, well, of course we can. So we use that as our blueprint for
Okay.
Dedicated to Chaos.
Very cool. All right, Geoff.
It's a weird thing with music. You know, I've always tried to stay away from categorization.
Sure.
You know, I think that whole genreification is what kills creativity, because it puts, you know, preconceived boxes around things. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I've never been interested in that. But a lot of people are. A lot of people look at music as a sporting event.
Okay.
You know, with winners, losers. They use terms like best, worst, and I don't believe those terms apply to music. You know, music is art, and art is completely subjective.
Sure.
And I don't believe that there is any good art or any bad art. There
Mm-hmm.
just is.
Right.
You know.
Sure. Well, and that's completely it for anybody that will complain about anything that, you know, you're doing, even that the other guys are doing. You know, ultimately it is. It's all subjective to, you know, what your ear likes.
Yeah. What your life experiences are.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, Geoff, let's talk. I'm going to ask you 1 or 2 questions about the legal mumbo jumbo, and I know you can't answer a whole bunch of it, so I'll stay away from details and just kind of go with some generalizations, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
No secret that, you know, you're going to be going to court in November to establish, you know, who basically is Queensryche. What is it in
no, not exactly. What
Okay.
we're doing in November is we're dissolving our corporation. And that's really what this whole court case is about. It
Okay.
has nothing to do with music. It has nothing to do with he said, she said. It's just dissolving the corporations and paying off the members of the corporation, and who has the money to buy it.
Okay, so
And somebody, whoever has the most money to buy will get it.
okay,
You know,
so
simple as that.
so is that then to say that no matter what happens, and I think a lot of fans have a misconception of this. I know I do, because I did not know that. But is it fair to say then that after the court thing is resolved in November, that there is going to be one band that is known as Queensryche, whether it's you or them?
Well, in a sense, there will be one Queensryche. Whether that's a band, we don't know.
Or an
You know,
entity.
it's a brand, is
Okay.
what it is. It's a name that has value, and so that brand has to be purchased by an individual or
Okay.
groups of individuals. So that's where it's at.
And does the court set? I'm sorry. This is news to me. I was completely under the understanding, and I think a lot of people are too, that the court case was about establishing who had more or less earned the right to the brand. So
No, there's no earning. It's rules and regulations that are established by the state and the federal government on how to dissolve corporations.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Okay.
It's all regulated. It's a paint by numbers kind of thing, and that's what's so ridiculous about all the debate about this and the siding up and all that. There is none. I mean, it doesn't have any sway. It doesn't have anything to do with the case at all. You know?
Right.
All it did was create, you know, publicity, which Queensryche hasn't had in years. And I got to tell you, you know, Gene Simmons was right. You know, any publicity is good publicity, because we've had more sellouts on this Queensryche run that I've done
Sure.
than Queensryche has had in 10 years. You know,
Right.
so that's amazing.
It is, but it does come with a price, because I know
All without television.
right. But at the same time, I know you have been very public about you know, talking about that there's an internet smear campaign against you and against, you know, your side of the band. So I guess it does come with a price, no?
What would that be?
Well, it would be that, people are besmirching your name for, for whatever reasons that they are, or at least the reasons that you feel, that people are trying to smear you, or slander you.
Oh, but it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
No, not in the least. I honestly don't pay attention, Chris. I'm so busy. I'm so, with the tour and the new album that we're working on right now, and future plans, that all that stuff. Oh my God, I've really just ripped the rearview mirror off, and I'm speeding down the highway.
Sure. Do you feel, and this is more or less a yes or no, but if you want to throw an explanation behind it, that would be great. Do you feel that in some ways you have kind of created some of the momentum for this stuff with things, and let me give some specific examples, with things like the contest that you had asking people to rant about why they didn't like your record, or with things like the phone throwing thing, or some of the interview stuff where you're talking about, the size of your dick and everything else, some of the crazier things that have been said in the last 6 months certainly bring attention to you. You know what I mean?
I talked about the size of my dick.
There's one interview out there where you said something about the stereotypical man's penis size or something.
What's that?
I don't know. It's an alarm.
Well, I'm not familiar with that interview.
Okay, there was one. There was one out there that made a lot of news.
Oh, well, interesting. The phone throwing thing. Maybe I should point out that happens a lot. In the frenzy of a concert, there's all kinds of activity that happens with the front row. And it's a metal show. It's rough. It's chaotic. It's intense. And that particular situation, I grabbed the guy's phone, took a picture, and then tossed it back to him. But he missed it because the lights were in his eyes. And he was actually in our meet and greet after the show, and we were laughing about it. And I said, "Oh man, I'm sorry. Did your phone get damaged?" Oh, and he said, "Don't worry about it. It's no big deal."
Sure.
Actually, really funny. But because we're in this court case, and there's a group of people that are interested in trying to create sides. Well, they just ran with this thing, and tried to make it look like make me look bad. But I don't think I look bad at all. My God,
Okay.
No big deal. The guy was laughing. We were happy. We had drinks backstage.
Sure, definitely.
What was the other one that you mentioned?
What was the other one? There was the cell phone throwing one. There was the there's a lot of the press different stuff going on, and the contest itself that you did with the asking people to rant about why they didn't like the record.
Oh, I thought that was funny. That was hilarious. Yeah. Well, I think that was an idea that Temi Sui from my record company came up with, and actually it was really a fun contest. In the winter, we flew out to Seattle, and he was at the show with his wife on Saturday, and got to spend a couple days in Seattle seeing the sights. They had great weather, and came to the show, was backstage, and had a great time. But the contest itself was hilarious to me.
Sure.
The so-called critiques that people were, submitting. I mean, how do you critique art?
Right.
You can't. I mean, you end up sounding like an idiot. And especially when you say something like, "It sucks." That's not a critique.
Right.
That's an idiot talking.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Now,
you can quote me on that, Chris. You can quote me on
that. I've got it. That's an idiot talking. That'll be the headline tomorrow in the press. Very nice.
And so be it. I'll sell more tickets.
Right. There you go. Well, Geoff, one of the things that you've mentioned, I'm going to go back to actual music stuff here. One of the things that you've mentioned is that you have a new concept trilogy that you're at least in the working out stages for. And I know you said earlier that you've started recording. I don't know if that's what you've started recording, but is there anything you'd like to share about, the basic concept of it? I know you don't want to give it away, but is there something, I guess my overall question is, what is it that's in your mind that you feel like there are 3 CDs worth of material to write about?
Oh, it's very cool. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's a concept record, and I'm spreading it out over 3 records, and it's quite different from anything I've ever attempted before, and it's different because of the times we live in, with technology being what it is, and the state of the record industry and radio and all that. It's a brave new world out there, and all the old rules don't apply anymore. You can pretty much do whatever you dream. The barriers have really come down a lot within the industry, because the industry doesn't really exist much anymore. It's floundering and trying to find itself, and so that's one of the inspirations for the making of this story. And that's really, at this point, all I can really say about it, because, of course, we live in that age where everything gets pirated. So
right, sure.
I'd be kind of careful about what I say and what I don't say.
Sure. You can decline to answer this if you want, but is it going to be Operation Mindcrime 3 in name?
No.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Geoff, what is the timeline for you now? I mean, obviously you've started working on the new release. Can you get that done? I know you've said in other interviews you're looking to try and record and put stuff out a lot quicker. Can you do that right now, or do you really have just the option to tour right now and work on the new record until the court thing is settled?
Oh no. I'm if I have it my way, I'd release a record every 6 months if I could.
Okay.
That's the game I'm going with. The plan I'm going with. But I think music should be topical. It should be of the times. Mm-hmm. And I think the lyric content and the music should be part of the great debate that we're having nowadays in the modern world. Mm-hmm. And the internet really gives us the ability now to communicate with people all over the world in real time, and that's an exciting place to be, I think. And I want to be part of that.
Sure.
And you can't do that by kicking around a record for 2 years. In between records, that's just oh God, it's so frustrating. And for the first time in my life, I'm free. I'm able to work at my own pace and to do what I want with whom I want, and that's a great place to be. I feel so much more enthusiastic and much more I just feel vitalized.
Sure.
Revitalized, I guess I should say. I feel incredible.
Excellent. One touchy one. Do you notice or pay any attention whatsoever to the other band, I mean?
Do I pay attention?
To pay attention to what they're doing, their release, what they're touring, anything, since it does carry your brand name or the name that you guys share.
No. It doesn't do me any good to focus on anything regarding those guys. I spent 30 years with those guys. I know what they're doing, and I know what they're capable of. And, it's not what I'm interested in now.
Okay. And one last one. Are you... let me pull that back. What is your opinion right now of, more or less the tarnish that has been thrown on the name Queensryche, within the world of the most diehard fans that, as you know, a lot of the diehards pick sides, whether it's you, whether it's the Latore version, whatever. A lot of the fans have chosen sides. What is your opinion of that, as well as, just overall what people, feel about the fact that there are two bands and whatnot?
Well, I honestly don't know what people feel. It doesn't really come into my world, Mm-hmm. I am aware that some people are saddened by the breakup, and I definitely relate to that. It was a very emotional situation. But I think it's kind of a waste of time to pick sides. Mm-hmm. That again throws the whole thing into a sporting event, which I don't understand and don't relate to. To me, a fan of the band will have maybe perhaps twice as much music. They'll be be able to, experience Queensryche in a number of different ways, which would be, in my mind, kind of cool.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't really feel that there's been a tarnish. I think this is just a inevitability of a band that's been together for so long. Bands are incredibly delicate mechanisms, and it's a wonder that this band managed to stay together as long as they did.
Sure. Absolutely.
Most bands break up after 5 or 10 years,
And you guys have been on the cusp as far back as 10 years ago. I remember specifically talking to you directly, and I'm sure you remember this too because it was with me when you did when the comment about we only speak through band managers and lawyers came out, and that caused a whole ruckus. And that was a decade ago, maybe even more. So
yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's obviously you know more than I do. There's always been a tumultuous feel within the band.
Yeah, there always has been. Yeah,
sure.
It's you had when Chris was in the band, it was a lot more level because he kind of kept the peace.
Okay,
he was really good at that, and he and I worked really well together and very easily, and we accomplished a lot. And with him gone. We had to find different ways of doing things, because we couldn't make records. We were stuck in the water,
Right.
So we had to find ways of working, and so we started with the idea of working with different people, and that worked out really well for a long time. But to make it work, you have to communicate, and you have to bring in ideas. You can't just sit back, take the paycheck, and criticize everybody else that's working.
Mm-hmm.
You have to actually contribute.
Sure.
So at this point, I'm pleased as punch.
Oh, there you go.
I can surround myself with people that contribute, people that have ideas, who are bringing something to the table. And I much prefer to work with people, even if I don't agree with their idea. At least they're bringing ideas in, and they're not just complacent.
Sure, definitely.
That's the worst.
Definitely. Well, Geoff, the new album, in case people don't know, is called simply Frequency Unknown. It is in stores and online at your various iTunes and Amazon and what have you vendors. What are we missing that you want people to know about the record, about what's next for you, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I think we've kind of covered it. Yeah. We're touring into the fall, heading off to the West Coast for some dates in August, and then September, I think we're in South America for a month, and Europe after that. So the touring continues, and working on the new record in between that I hope to have out after the first of the year.
Okay, excellent. Well, Geoff, as a tradition, and you've done this numerous times before, we always let the artist pick a closing track from their new record and maybe tell us a story about it to end the interview. So what would you like us to play? And, give us a little history on the song.
Let's see. How about the last song on the album of the original material is called "The Weight of the World." One of my favorite tracks on the record. My good friend and writing partner and keyboard player Randy Gain had a heart attack last year, and he wrote the opening part of the song while he was in his hospital bed recovering from his heart attack. And when he got out of the hospital, we started working on the song and talking about the lyric content. And it's a song about exploring immortality, and what does it all mean at the end of the day?
Sure.
What are you going to leave behind? Should you leave behind anything? Is it really important? And it's one of the favorite ones of mine off the record.
Well, let's check it out right now. It is brand new Queensryche from Frequency Unknown. It is The Weight of the World, and it is your classic metal show.